Hi Anushka.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So, hope what we have learned in the last class, is it clear to you? I have shared you all the code and slide also.
Yeah, sir.
Okay.
Mm.
So did you try that code?
Yeah, I did.
Okay. Is it run successfully and means you are getting all those function and their application, right? Means why we have used those function and now you are able to use all those, right?
Yeah,
Means okay. So today I will going to start about the array, but before that, let me show you some class and object program. Then we can do that. So now you are able to declare an object class. Am I right? Right? You are not getting any difficulty in getting those objects. What is class? Right?
yeah.
Okay. Just 1 minute. Let me close this previous project. So now as you have seen here, right? Here you can see I have created a class. Okay, this public keyword is not mandatory. This is an access specifier visibility mode that we declare it so that we can tell that this class is public and it can be accessible to anyone. Okay, so that's why we add this public, but it is not mandatory. Here you are working on a single class. You can remove it also. Okay, now here this is the data member. Data member means variable, they are also called as a data member, and the function they are called as a member function, also called as member function. Okay, they are data member and these are the member function. This function info, okay, this function info, inside this function info, what you are doing, you are simply printing the all the variable. Okay, what are the variable that you have declared? Name, roll number, age. Okay, and how you're going to execute the Java program means which are based on class and object.
I calling them up.
Yes, so you need to create the main function, and inside the main function you need to call the object. You need to create the object of the class and assign the value, and you need to call the method. Okay, so here this main method is responsible for what? This main method is responsible for execution of the code. Okay, means your program start execution of the program means the execution of the program start from the main. As the compiler they found this class, the name of the class, they will read all the variable function, and as the execution comes inside this main function, the actual execution of program start. How? Like that, as it found that you have created an object. Okay, this object will hold all the variable and their value. Okay, like
Mm.
here you can see it can be something like you have this an object, and inside this object you have all these variable. What are those? Name, and you are assigning a value. You see here, with the help of this object you are assigning a value. Okay, so here you can see it will be Bhavesh, or any name you can give it. Let me take your name, Anu, and then roll number, let's take 101, and third one is age. So suppose age is equal to 21. So this is called an object, and this object is holding object name is what here? Can you?
Student.
Yes. So here the object name is student, and this object will going to assign the value to this variable, and they all will going to store inside the object. And with the help of this object you will call the method. So as you call this method with the help of this object name, the flow will go back to this method. Okay.
Can
uh,
you go a little up?
yes. So the flow will go back to this method. They will come inside and they will read the instruction or statement that you have mentioned. So what instruction and statement you have mentioned here? That you want to print the name and the value that is present or you assign by the object. So it will going to print all those name, roll number, age together. So how the flow is, you will start writing the class, then you will declare the data member, you will declare the member function. Okay, even if you remove this public, will it work? Because you are working on a single class here. Public, this is a public visibility mode is added when you want to make this function or this class publicly accessible from anywhere, from outside the class also. Okay, so this visibility mode I will explain you in after one or two class, a separate class I will explain you what are those visibility mode, because this visibility mode will be helpful in solving the OOPS concept, that is your inheritance, polymorphism, abstraction. There it will be helpful. So this all visibility mode we will going to see it, but as of now you just think it like if you declare it as a public, then it mean that it will be accessible from anywhere. So you note down this point. So when you declare any method as a public, or when you declare any class as a public, then it can be accessible from anywhere, even outside from the class. What do you mean by this? Means when you create a multiple class like inheritance and all, at that time we need to create it as a public, or that variable as a public, so that you can access it. Okay, so that mean that even outside of the class, and there is private in the sense when you want to prevent it from being used outside. So when you declare any variable as a private, it means that that method or class is accessible within the class itself. When you want to provide a security to your variable or your data, at that time you use private. Is it clear?
Yeah.
So this is the whole explanation of an access specifier. There is one more protected keyword. This protected keyword you will come to know once we start abstraction inheritance interface, because this is something related to the package. So I will going to add it in a more detail, this all visibility mode, so it will be more clear to you. As of now you just think it like this visibility mode will provide you the security to your data, your method, your class, and as well as accessibility to the other person also.
Okay.
Just think it like suppose you are in the IT department and one person is in account department. Okay, so suppose account department want an access. Okay, let me rub this and then I can explain you. Suppose this is your, this is you, and this is suppose me. Okay, suppose you are in account department and I am in software department, and I want you want an access of my software that I develop so that you can promote it in the market or you can reach out to the client. Okay, so I need to make this class as a public so that you can also have a look on that class, you can also run it to see whether it is working fine. So from your end you want to ensure it, and you can start selling of that software. Okay, so that at that time I need to make it public in order to make it accessible to you only. Why? Because we both are in different department. This is one scenario. If I say that we are in the same company, and in that case even if I make a private, it will be accessible by you. That also you can think it, but I am taking one more scenario where we are in different department, and in order to give you access to this code, I need to make it as a public so that you can also access it. Is it clear to you, or shall I?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I understand.
Okay, so this is called as class. In this way we declare the class. Okay, this class name can be anything that you can give it. It's completely user defined, and then the name of the function is also user defined, and the name of object, whatever object name you can give it. Here you just see the syntax. What is the syntax? Wherever the final method is present, final means a main method is present, there we create both left and right side, both same class, right? In the last class I told you, like in abstraction, where I was explaining you, I told you whichever is implementing the method or providing a body to that method, we will pass that name of the class here.
Yeah.
But in single class you will going to pass the same name. Why? Because you are working on a single class. And in suppose even if you have a multiple class also, you will give, or you will create an object of that class that you want, where the main method is present. Only in case of interface and abstraction we give a different object name at the right hand side, because this class will going to implement the method of this left hand side class. Okay,
Yeah.
anything doubt, anything not clear?
Yeah. So,
Sorry, your voice is not audible.
yeah, it's fine for now.
Okay, so this is regarding the class, and let's see about the array concept. I think some this repeated. Just 1 minute. I think it's like okay. Let it be. Here I'm talking about the array. You know, right? Array is a group of data, means where you can save a homogeneous data. You have already done work in a C language, so you might be aware about what is an array, how we can access the element of an array, what is
Yeah.
an index, subscript. Am I right?
Yeah.
So, in which scenario you can use array, and in this scenario you use single variable.
When I want to store a lot of data of same type, then I can go for the array.
Yes, correct. And what you need to take care about it means the data should be homogeneous or heterogeneous.
Homogeneous.
Correct. So array is a data structure in Java, or in a different programming language we have this array. And why we use this array? To save the homogeneous data, to save the group of a data. The structure will be something like this, where you have the cell like this, and inside this cell means This is called a space where we save the data, and the data structure array is divided in a cell. Each block will be called as a cell. Okay, why we call this means cell? Because the element are saved inside this. Suppose here 1, here suppose 2, suppose here 8, 9, 6, 5, 3, 4. So this each cell is holding the data, and each cell is identified with one number that is called as a index. This index will take the means will help us to identify the data is present in a which cell. This complete block is called as an array. Inside this block, it is divided in an equal size cell, and each cell is holding some one data. Okay, as you can see in this array, all the cell is holding the data that is of an integer type. So you can say it is an integer type. And how you declare an array in Java? We normally the declaration is your data type.
Yeah, I know how to declare.
Yes,
And after that, A and then the square boxes.
yes, data type, array name, and subscript. This call as a subscript means where you will define the size.
Okay.
This is one method. There is another method where you declare like this.
Yeah, where I put the subscript first.
Yeah, that is also one method. Data
And
type where array name. And there is one more way where you declare like this. Data type array name. It will be like this. Let me show you first. In this way, new keyword, data type again, then size. I
but
will
I
explain.
don't think, do we need to keep that subscript before scores?
Yeah, because this is an array, right? And if you don't declare this as a before, then how we will tell it that it is a array? Because this square script define it. It is like a array variable.
Yeah, no, I mean, we can put that subscript after also. Right?
This is a one more representation. Actually, this is one representation where we keep square this subscript before. In one representation we keep it after, like this, and in one representation we need to write like this.
Yeah, so the second one is basically used for the user defined. That is better, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So the representation will be like this: array name. You can take subscript before, after, whatever it is, equal to new keyword, again data type, then inside the square bracket you will define the size. So this is one representation. So here you declare this one when you want to like here actually this representation is like a common in every programming language, like in C++ also. You might have seen like this, that you might have declared integer a, and you were declaring like this. Okay, and here also this one. But this one, what is the difference? Here we are using the new keyword. This new keyword is why we are using this new keyword. You have seen with the object creation
Object.
also. Yeah, correct. So this new keyword will going to provide a space to this data into the memory. So it So you don't need to manage the memory from your side. It will automatically manage the memory based on the size that you pass it. And if you don't pass the size, it will automatically give the space to all the value that you will assign to this array. So this new keyword will going to assign a space to data item saved in array. Okay, so the new keyword will going to, what they will going to do it, like suppose this is your RAM. Inside this RAM your data should be saved somewhere, so that when compiler, when you start running your program, they will approach the RAM and they can get access to the data. So this method is more efficient in the sense, because when you do not have a size, at that time this method will completely responsible for managing the space to the data item. So you don't need to manage the space from your side. In this case, you need to declare the size. And this is one method. This is here we don't use new keywords. So there might be a, sometime you face a situation where you will get a error like array index out of bound, or some memory error you will get it. But here this new keyword, they are responsible for completely managing the memory, and the data will be saved inside the memory, something like this.
Yeah, okay, I got it. But I okay in C programming, what we used to do if it has to be user defined function is first we'll scan the value of n, that will be our size, and then we'll put it as data type and then the name of the array, and in that subscript we'll put the size. But
Yes.
in Java, if we do that, it will throw an error.
Sorry, can you tell me what actually you?
Like suppose first I'll ask that enter the size, and then I'll store that particular size in a variable, suppose n. And then after that, for declaration of array, if I'm putting as integer a and in
This one.
subscript, yeah,
So here you can pass it also, like you declare size equal to whatever user want, and then you can assign it here.
yeah, that's what, like in Java we have to do it in this way, right? We cannot just do it in integer scores, and then
Yes.
in
Yeah.
subscript we can just put size.
Yes. Yes. So here that's the reason that we use the different ways of assigning a value to the variable or in an array. And this one is the most effective way. This new keyword, they will manage the space, and you can declare many variable. Like you can create a variable like this, you can create like this, you can create like this also. So these are some way of declaring an array.
What is that flags equal to? Okay,
Flag is an array
yeah, got
variable
it.
that you might have declared earlier. That flag is an integer array, and then you are just simply using it. So these are the different way. You can see this size. You can give as much as size. Even you can specify this value on some variable, and you can read it here.
Okay,
So like suppose you want to specify, so how you can specify the variable, right? Means how you can assign a value to the array. So you can assign it at a runtime with the there is one scanner. I have not introduced you the scanner one. You are going to see it scanner. There is scanner library, you can use it.
I know what is scanning.
Okay, what do you mean by that?
It is used for scanning the user input, right? Like if you're asking for the syntax, then okay, it will be like scanner sc or any variable equals to
Yeah,
new
scanner
scanner
sc. Yes, new scanner. Then
bracket my
it,
system dot in.
yeah, system dot in. Actually it is used to read a value from the user.
Yeah,
Whatever value the user will going to enter, it will be read by user. Means whatever the user will going to enter the value, it will be read by your code and they will perform an operation.
yeah, okay.
And you can also check it. Suppose you can use the function unit dot length. The length function is there. You can use it, that length function, in order to find out the size of an array. When you initialize like a compile time, you, if you want to find it out how many numbers are present in array, you can use the user defined function, that is length function, and with the help of that length function you can easily find it out what is the size of an array. Suppose you want to run the for loop till the last element, how you are going to find check whether what is the size of an array is. So you can use it simply with the help of this length function. Okay, you can write a for loop like this for um,
I equals to 0, I
yeah,
less than
I
a
is equal
dot
to
length
0, I is less than, suppose unit is here the name, unit dot
dot
length.
length.
So it will going to find it out the length of a unit array, and then you can use it increment decrement whatever you want to apply it. So in this way you can apply the length function, and you can find it out the length of an array. Suppose here, as you can see, now you want to perform an arithmetic operation. How you can do it, you just need to use the name of an array and the index value. As I said you here, this index value will going to tell you the data, and if you know that in which index the data are present, you can access it with the name of an array. Like here you can see it, we are using this what, we are using this unit as a name of an array. And always prefer one more thing, whenever if you have any doubt and anything that you want to clear it, you just follow this original document of Java. Okay, like Java Oracle documentation array. So you will get the list of an example. So in this tutorial you will come to know like what is an array. So you see here, this is the first index, the element present, and this array length 10, right? So in that way you can access it. This is a single index, and the group of an index will be called as the indices. And here you can see in this program we have created a class. Inside this class we have created a variable, and this variable once we create it, as I said you right, if you declare an array like this, you will only declare an array, but you won't be allocate a memory to those elements. If you want to allocate a memory, how you are going to do that, you just need to write like this, right? You were asking me the flag one.
Hmm.
The flag one is syntax is similar to this. You see
Yeah,
flag new 20, and here you see it an array new integer 10, and after that you can assign it like this, or you can run the for loop also. As the I value will keep on changing, you will assign the value to them, or you can assign it like this itself. And if you want to print it, you can print it based on the index. Similarly you can run the for loop and print the value also. So this is the way of declaring an array. There are different way of declaring an array in Java. First way is just to declare an array, but that is an old view of declaring an array. But you need something more advanced one, or you can say it more appropriate one. So you will go for this one. This representation will run your program smoothly because they will allocate space also. Now here if you we talk about 10 element, then that is not the matter. But if you're working for 100, 200,000 of element, then you need to allocate a memory to them,
sure.
and this all data will going to save in a heap area of the memory. Okay, so this memory will having this data in that memory. I'm talking about means RAM. When I will say memory, it means that RAM. When I will going to say storage, then it will be a hard disk. You know, right? The difference between those two.
Yeah, I do.
And actually how the program will execute. See, the structure is something like that. Means you write a program here. Okay, Suppose this is your Java program, this is your RAM, this is suppose your hard disk. Oops. Okay, let me take it. This is RAM. Okay, let me take it with other color. So suppose this is your program, array.java. Okay, this program, when you write it with the help of new keyword, this program, what they will doing to do it, while writing, you are actually working on RAM part. Okay, why you are working on the RAM part? It means that once you will going to save it, once we click on this save button, at that time it will go to your storage part. Okay, and suppose whenever you want to run it back, whenever you want to run this, it will come again to this main memory. You will do some changes, it will create a space in the RAM memory, and when you run it, when you click on this run button, the processor and CPU start working on the code that is present on your RAM. CPU means your compiler, sorry, your processor and the compiler, they will work on RAM to execute code. Is it clear? Like suppose when you click on, when we save it, okay, let me show you this example also. When we click on this save as button, okay, when you click on this save as, this file will going to save somewhere on your hard disk, okay, and it is saved permanently. But when you open this file, okay, when you click on this file, when you open this file will going to save on your RAM, will come on the RAM part. Okay, why they come on the RAM? Because your compiler CPU, they never work on your storage. They will work on the RAM because RAM is more faster than your hard disk. So they will work on the RAM, whichever you currently need it. Is it fine? Is it clear to you?
Yeah, yeah, it's clear.
And why they come to the RAM? The reason is, see, normally RAM of our system is of a 2 GB, 4 GB, 8 GB, but hard disk of 500 GB. So when you run any software, any code, only specific that you currently need, means you currently what's your requirement to run the code, that only will come to the RAM. Rest thing won't come, and that's why when they come to the RAM, CPU will miss. For the CPU and compiler, the working area, they get limited to this RAM of 2 GB or 3 GB or 4 GB like that, so they work faster. So that is the scenario. Even this task manager, I think I have explained you earlier. This task manager will show you more memory occupy. You can see it here. Disk is less, but your memory is more, CPU is more. Why? Because these all are running on my RAM. This Eclipse, Google Chrome, Edge, OpenOffice, Paint, these all are running on my RAM. They are not working on the hard disk. Whatever is running on the background process, they might be on a hard disk or what, but this all process, when you run this, when you click on the icon, Eclipse icon, they will come to the RAM. That's why your memory, that is your RAM, is occupied more. You can see physical memory it is showing, right?
Mm.
And that is the reason that it is occupy more as compared to your disk. That is the reason this thing, why I explain you, so that you can visualize it, you can imagine it, that how actually the execution of program happen, so that when you will going to explain anyone, when you will going to present it in an interview, or might be explain anyone, you should know internally how working is happening. This is your Java program, this is your storage, that is your disk. When you click on this Java program, like, okay, this is my all program, okay, when I click here, something like this, it is open here. It means that this code is open with this Eclipse IDE on my RAM. And as I click on this run button, The compiler will compile the code and the processor will work behind it, how many resources they need, how many memory they are occupying, like that. Do you
Okay.
understand?
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
So in that way it works. So here, let me show you one code. Here I have written one code. Okay, this is the name of the class. This is main method. Here I have created an array, and here I am passing this all value at a compile time. This value I am passing at a compile time. Compile time means with the program itself I am passing the value. I am not asking the user to enter a value. Okay, compile time. Now I want to check for the element, whether my element is present. Suppose I want to search. I have created one more variable of an integer type, that is of, and assign a value here 12. Okay, let me change it and try with 3 here. Now here I have created some more variable that is of integer I, and this boolean found it false. Now what is my agenda here? I wanted to check whether the element is present on my array or not. Okay, I wanted to check it here whether the given element is present on my array or not. So what I am doing here, I am, are you able to see the Eclipse, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so here I am running this for loop. I dot arr of int dot length. It means that this is the name of my array of ints. If you feel this complex name, you can change it.
It's fine.
Array int, you can do it. Okay, so once you call this length method, what they will going to give you, they will tell you the name of sorry, the number of element on your array. How many element you have? 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10. So what will be the value come here in place of this 10?
And
Because this len function will going to give you the number of element in array. Now you will come inside, you will check, is the element present at index 0, is it equal to this value, search for. If it true, then you will come inside and you will print, you will assign this value true to this variable, and later on we will going to print it. Okay, you can see here true, right? So if the value of this variable will become true, this
it
if
will come out of the loop.
yeah, it will come out there, and it will break immediately. And break, you know, right? You might have worked on C language break.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So it will immediately exit the if condition. Just 1 minute. Yeah, 1 minute. I just need to. Yeah, sorry, actually, yeah, power was gone, so I was just connecting.
Okay.
So here, uh, Once it will get break means it will going to exit out of the loop. And you know the if condition, if you pass here true means inside the if condition while or in a looping, if the value within the parenthesis is true, it means that that condition will always be true, right?
Mm.
So once it will be true, it will come inside and it will print it. Okay, that it found the value that you are searching for at a particular index I. Okay,
Mm.
let me run this and show you, then we can see it. So see, it is showing found 3 at index 2. So here, if this element, if it is not true, it will going to print it that it is not present in an array. Do you understand the flow here? Let me check it with the 30 here. 30, you can see it is not available in this array. You see, is as do you find any 30 here?
No.
Okay, let me run this and check what the output they are giving. So see, it is showing that 30 is not in the array. Why it is giving that 30 not in the array? Because 30 is not present in the array.
Array.
So how we apply the logic? We apply the logic like we create an array. You can create this array with a user define also. I will explain you how you can do it. Let me show you. Let me see it. If I have a syntax, I will going to tell you right now. See here, it will be something like this: scanner sc new scanner system dot in, and you need to import this library. Import java util dot star. In place of star, you can directly write the scanner also. Okay, this one be
Put it in
capital.
the capital.
Yeah, sorry, I have forgot to add. Yeah, yes, you can directly write this scanner also. And if you if you want to import the whole package, then you can simply remove it. You can see it when I press the scanner. When you put the cursor over it will going to give you the detail of that. A simple text scanner which can pass primitive type string using regular expression. This scanner, it will be work like this: new scanner system dot in. Here you can pass the name of an array sc.nextint and you can read it those value. Okay, I will going to explain this, don't worry. Just try to understand the flow first, what actually the flow is, then you can understand it. So here we have seen that, right? So the logic is like that: I is equal to 0, it will come, it will check for an element. If it true, then it will break. As it break, the flow will come here, it will check the value is true, it will going to print it. In case if it is not equal to true, then what they will going to do, they will not even come inside, right? They will not even come inside. Then the flow will go back again, increment the value. I will become 1 now. You will going to check, is 1 is less than the 10. If it is, okay, let me take it 127 here. Okay, let me show you here. So in this program, you are learning about the for also, you are learning about the uh, if condition also, you are learning about how you can search an element in array, and based on that you can perform an operation also. So do you understand like what is an array, why we use it, how you can compile time you can use it array, how you can access the element, how you can search an element?
Yeah.
Similarly, if you want to perform operation, you just need to pass the name of an array and then the value present at a particular index, right? Like you can see here, score is the name of an array, and what is an element at a particular index, you just need to pass the value here. It will going to print it, right? So based on that, we can perform various operation. You can perform arithmetic operation based on the element. If you know the element which are present in a which index, and it is a contiguous memory, right? It is a contiguous data structure where element are saved in a contiguous fashion. It means element are saved in a sequence, so it will be easy to perform an arithmetic operation or mathematical operation on the array.
Yeah.
Now, sometime you might will get an array that you might will get an error that will be called as a array index out of bound exception. Why this error will become? The reason is that when you have declared the size as a 10 and you want to save the element at the index greater than 10. In that case, you will get an error. In C language, you might have seen that you might have not getting any error in C language, or because the reason was that it depends on your compiler whether it support or not. But in Java, if you run, for example, let me show you. Okay, one minute. Let me show you one program that I have written it. So now suppose here we have declared two-dimension array. 2D array, you know, right? In 2D array, the difference only is that there will be two subscript. Okay, as you were saying that this kind of syntax we don't declare it. You can see it here. I am declaring two subscript here. Why? Because I am working on a two-dimension data. You know two-dimension data
Yeah, I know.
where we have a row and column, just like matrices. In mathematics, matrices is there, right? Where
Yeah.
the data will be in the row and column. So it will be like this. Uh, do you feel this language difficult or like easy as of now?
No, it's fine. The only problem I have is loops, nothing else.
Sorry, what?
It's fine. Like array is fine for me.
Uh, yeah, array is fine, but are you getting interest on solving or not? Because you have to be practice more on this, because I can tell you few program, but you need to build a logic. You need to practice more on this. Try to explore more on from your side, so that you can work in much better way.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so having anything doubt, any question, you can ping on the Trello. You can ask me. This is the question I want to know, so I can explore more and I can help you.
Yeah, okay.
But if you already know C language, so it won't be difficult for you to learn Java, because since the module will be remain same except few module, but logic will be like that itself.
Mm-hmm.
So it is something like this, right? Three-dimension array where you have a row and column. This is what your row 0, right? This is your row 1, and this is your row 3.
So row two, yeah.
And similarly here also your column 1, right? So I'm just writing C1. It will take, okay, C2 and C3. So this is called a two dimension because you are working on x and y both axes. So here you can see it. I have declared here uh, size 1110. Okay, here I am declaring the size.
That's row is 11 and column is 10.
Okay, so let me run this first. So you are getting an error. Do you know why?
Mm, 7. Yeah, because you have given equal to 11.
Yes, and the thing is that here my row will be equal to the 11, and I have that mean that it will be 0 to 11. It means that it will create 12 row,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
And that's the reason, but I have given the size here 11. So it will give an error array index out of bound. Why it is giving error? Because it don't have a space there. But now when I will remove this, what happened? Sorry, just 1 minute. When I will give size like this 15, and when I will run this, it won't give an error, or it won't give the error like array index out of bound. Do you see this? Why? Because you are uh, generating 12 row and 10 column that is coming within this 15 cross 15 two dimension space, so it won't given any error there. And when you do not initialize any value here, by default it is initialized 0. You can see I am not initializing any value here,
yeah,
right? It is by default initializing all the 0, like it will be like 0. How this two dimension for loop works,
yeah,
can you explain me like?
yeah. So first, like integer I, like first we'll give for the I and then we'll go to the column so that we can do the first like 0, 0, 0, 1.
Hmm.
So we can just print it out like that.
Yes. So for first I is equal to 0, this j will run how many time? 10 time. 0 to 9. Means it will be like 0, 0, 0, 1, 0, 2, 0, 3, 0, 4, 0, 5, 0, 6, 0, 7, 0, 8, 0, 9. Once this value become equal to 10, condition become false, it will immediately come out. It will print the new line and the flow will go back again here. It will increment the I value will become 1. As I value become 1, it will come inside, and this in inner for loop will run how many time? 10 time again, because I is equal to 0, I is equal to means 1 0 1 1 1 2 1 3 1 4 till 1 9. And as the j value become 10, again it will be exit, new line will come, again it will increment it, I value become 2, 2 is less than 11, again it will come inside, it will print for 20 to 29. Is it clear?
Yeah,
Good. So this is called as a array, where we work on the group of data. So this array, you might be know, if anyone asks you what is array index out of bound, then it is very simple. If you don't if you have declared a size in an array and you want to fill the data more than that, then it will give a index out of bound. It is something like a overflow condition. Means you have a bucket and you are filling a means water in that, even after it's completely filled. So will the water will come inside once it get filled? No, right? So it will give you the error that now I am filled, I can't handle more data. So that is similar to this array index out of bound exception. Exception means error. This
okay,
is generated automatically once the size or once the data will get over the size. But in C language, if you try this, it depends on your compiler. Sometime it will get run, it will support one or two value. It completely depend on the compiler, Zorlang, Turbo C, which compiler you are using. So you see here, if you declare here the size 100, and in that 100 the value will be, the index will be 0 to 99. But if you have written this equal to 100, then it will be 0 to 100 index, that it means 101 value will be there for this I value, right? So in that case it will give you the error, that is similarly called as a bound checking, bound error. Do you understand now?
Yeah, I do.
So like this, inside the memory, the datas are saved. This is your array name. In array, inside this array, every index will save a data like this. If it is of a string type, then they will save like Chris, Brad, Andrew. If of integer type, then this. If float type, then they will save like this. So like this, we have seen what is an array. In that array, we have seen a different operation you can do it. Let me show you some more example in array. Let me close this. So here you see, I declare an array here, and I will going to save the data here. So here you can see here, I have created here. This is the same example that I've explained you in the Java docs, right? Java Oracle document, whatever the example was there. I took the same example, this one itself, and here I am trying to print it. You can declare an array of whatever byte also. You can declare an array of short, long, float, double, boolean, character. So in boolean, how many value it will going to save? I told you like boolean data type.
Only two, either true or false.
Correct. And this way of declaring it, you can declare it. This is one way. So in this way you can access it. You can declare the string array. You can assign the value there, right? Just have a look on this example. If just if you understand anything, just let me know. This is a two-dimension one.
Okay, what if I declare an array
Hmm.
where I give the value as first I'll give 1 and then comma and then again one more comma and then 2. So is it like valid array or no? Did you understand?
No, can you just send me on the chat what you said?
Uh,
Just type on the chat. Okay, let me check it. Integer a 1, 2, 3.
is
Yeah,
that valid? Like those the
yes.
value between those two comma, what will it take it as?
Value bit here you have put
Like
two
the
comma.
yeah, there is no value, right? So I've just put like 2 comma.
Okay, let me check it, because here in that case it will be take it as a zero or what. Let me check it once. Null value also is possible. Okay, let me take it. Here I have declared 15, right? Oh, okay, let me take it as a 19, and
that might throw an error because it's an integer, right?
Yes.
You leave that, just copy paste the thing which I've sent and try to print it if it's printing or what it is showing.
Yeah.
Because I saw this question somewhere and I thought it will take zero, but the zero was not an option, so I got confused.
I think it will take a 0, but I'm not sure. I need to check it once. It's taking error. It's taking error, right?
Yeah, okay.
Null value, if you have don't having any value, then it will take a null. But we can't declare it like this. I think so. Compile time.
Just put a space between those two comma.
Still, it will take a error, right?
So after two, there is comma added. Still, it's giving them. So okay.
Syntax error on a token. Delete this token. If you are reading at a compile time, then you can't assign it like that.
Yeah, okay.
I have not assigned any value. Let's check whether it is working or what. Right. Let me close this program. The project is already closed. Just 1 minute, okay? Let me check it. Actually, in one of the package, I have an error. That's why it's not running that. Let me close this project. Run on server. So when I have not assigned a value, So it initialize the second value by means, so my compiler have initialized the next value to the previous one. You can see it here. I have not initialized any value here. So it has initialized the array 2 value here.
Okay.
Okay. So in this way we can work with this array program. So you can practice this. I will upload this all array programs with the slide in the GitHub. Have a look on this and practice on this array program. So the
Yeah. Actually, I have a program. I mean, some doubt in a program. Can I
okay,
share my screen? Can you see where is the mistake? Because I'm not able to
yes,
find.
yeah,
It's
please,
really easy, but um,
yes.
uh, can you make me the host? Yeah, this is the question, and this is my code. Okay, are you there?
Yes, yes, sorry, I was on mute. But what was the error here?
I'll show you my logic first. I don't find any mistake, but it's showing ulta of what I want to print. Okay, I'll compile it and I'll put the number of courses.
Hmm.
And of course, I wanna find the C++, and it's giving like this.
You search about C.
Yeah, it's the same.
Okay. Show me the if count star is not okay. Just go up. Count is equal to 0 and I is equal to I is less than n. If n value course 3, you will just enter the course name. Okay. You are entering the course. Count is equal to 0. Course I is equal to system. Enter the course to be searched. Sc dot next. Okay. Here you need to write next line. Sc dot next line. For a string, we need to use a next line. Now run this.
Huh? Okay. Yeah, that's what happens when I put line.
Enter the course to be searched. Course is not available. Why it is coming? Okay. Can you share me this code? I just see it and
No, I
otherwise
cannot copy it.
you can't copy it,
No, it's the weird platform. We cannot copy anything. We cannot paste anything.
but you can copy this code from here to another, right? If
No,
you
I
can
cannot
copy,
do that. I cannot do that.
okay.
Um,
Okay, just 1 minute. Let me check it. You do next itself. Change it to next. Hmm. And wait.
Logic is fine according to me.
Yeah, but I just need to check. It might be. Well, let's run once again. You want to do okay? You run it. The logic is something we are doing mistake in this one. We are searching.
Yeah, see, if I'll put it not over here, if I'll just remove this not from here,
Yes.
yeah, it will work. Then I'll evaluate it, and then it will come like this. Check the logic when course is not available.
Okay. You do one thing. You just reverse this. Make the count equal to zero.
Here,
Count not here. Down. If count is not equal to zero, this equal to zero.
yeah, I did that also. Like, uh,
Hmm.
the compiler is very weird actually.
Okay, 1 minute. Here sc dot next system. Okay, 1 minute. Let me see that. So here when I is equal to 0, I is less than n, that is your 3, and I plus plus if course I is equal to search. And here you type it, course I is equal to sc dot next line. Small you type lin.
Did I not put it? Okay.
Is it working?
No.
ABC.
Okay, it's not taking three courses, it's just taking two and four.
Because you have written I is less than n. So it will take 0, 1, 2. Why it's taking not n is equal to you have declared 3, 0.
Yeah,
I think it might be an issue of the platform itself. Um, because the code it should take right. I is equal to 0, I should be less than n. So course I, course 0, course 1, course 2. Take more than 3 value. Run it once again, take it 5 and see how much it is working. It's taking 3, 4. Right, it take 4 when you declare 5. So when you declare 3, it will take 2. So
mm,
yes, do it that one.
what?
Enter the course name. Don't do n plus 1.
Okay, I did it in the wrong.
You type there, yeah. course main Java learning 3. Why it is giving an error? Take it and okay, but wait. Take it and there. Okay, no issue. You declare 3 first. You declare four subject. Take a 3 value and then see it. Because I
I
need
didn't.
to check the whole code. Then I can tell you, right?
Yeah.
Why taking
Should
time.
I send you the screenshot of I keep
Yeah, you can please send me the screenshot. I will just look into that and solve it. First run this. Let's see that.
yeah, what did you tell?
Yeah, enter the course. 4 you type, not 3. 4 you type. Then it will take 3 course. C is not available. Now here the logic is okay. You take the screenshot of the course, means this code from the start and send it to me.
Yeah, okay. Trello पे I will send, right?
Yeah, you can send me on the Trello.
Or should I send it on the chat?
No, better you send it me on the Trello. Chat, how you will send me the code? You send me this also. After this class, you can send me or on the Trello itself, you can attach it, the zip file. I will download it and I will tell you. Here, see the output. C++, C++ was not available. Enter the number of course 0 invalid range. Okay, you take the screenshot of all this, send it to me. I will solve it and I will send it to you, or I will update you tomorrow morning. Is there any
Okay.
deadline to submit this?
No, no, I'm just planning to do it by tomorrow night.
Okay, I will do it and update you. Let me check it on my system.
Yeah. Your system it will work off. Their system is it's very weird. If I miss a comma also
Uh,
it shows lot of
Let me check on the Eclipse whether it is working. If this code is working fine there, it means that there might be logic of this platform. Means there might be an error in the platform. Otherwise, there might be an error in the code.
yeah, okay. Yeah, okay. I'll upload and try.
Okay, please make me the host.
Yeah. Yeah, it's done.